Hi guys, welcome. Oh my goodness. I see my mom and my aunt on this. I'm gonna choke up. That's Pat and Jenny Tracy's screen. Hello everyone. Welcome. Good afternoon. My name is Selah Davison-Tracy. I'm the founder of Seeds of Exchange. And we are a collective of everyday change makers that we are looking to use the gifts that we have been born to use and to offer to the world, and to do that as a community, and to fiercely commit to using those gifts and using our community in a way that serves and benefits and blesses the well-being of people near and far. So in a moment, we're going to hear from some of our Changemaker Storytellers. But before we start, first of all, can everyone hear me? All right. Full disclosure, this is my second Zoom call to facilitate. The one on Tuesday, I spoke for about 1 minute before a friend piped up into the chat and said, Sarah, you're on mute. So thank goodness for friends that can coach me along as I learn about this thing. So we've had this Seeds Changemaker series all week long. And throughout all of our gatherings and all of our conversations, we've launched every single one with this reading by one of my dear sisters, elders, mentors, Margaret Wheatley. And this is kind of to set the tone for our call. And then we'll dive in and I'll tell you how we're going to frame our time together. Margaret says, I believe we can change the world if we start listening to one another. Simple, honest, human conversation. Not mediation, negotiation, problem solving, debate, or public meetings, but simple, truthful conversation where we each have a chance to speak, we each feel heard, and we each listen well. Human conversation is the most ancient and easiest way to cultivate the conditions for change. Personal change, community and organizational change, planetary change. And this last sentence is where my heartbeat is. If we can sit together and talk about what's important to us, we begin to come alive. So that's our intention, our big hope, our big dream for this call, that between now and the end of the call, you feel a flicker more alive or ablaze. Either one is good with us. And that's why we tell these stories. We tell these stories shining a light on people we love, people we care about, people whose voices we want to hold that mic up to and say, please talk to us. Help us to live bigger and become more alive. And our context for these stories is always one of hope. So I promise, in the midst of a very intense conversation around human trafficking, you can count on ending with hope. So a little orientation for our call. We are recording this, and I will send out a link for the call in case you remember hearing someone say something and you gotta hear them say it again. We're also putting together an inspired action and commitment resource from all of the whole week of this series, with websites and books and links to videos and cool quotes that we hope will fuel all of us and connect all of us. A little technical check-in. On the very bottom of your screen, there's a kind of a bar, and there's a chat button that please feel free to click. And if you have a question, and if it's not working, just skip the chat. But this is just for fun, as we're all playing and learning with this technology. Type a message into the chat if you have a question for me or for any of our storytellers, and I will be saving this chat, and we'll loop back to any questions that we don't have a chance to get to. We've muted everyone because a lot of times with these calls, there's background noise, but when it's your turn to speak, or if we get to Q&A, on the very bottom of your screen, there's also an unmute button, so you can unmute yourself. And I think we're gonna start with this chat thing, just for fun. We are curious, if you were to, and if you don't have access to the chat, then please just kind of hold this question in your head and ponder on it. But we are curious because we all come to this table with different contexts, with different backgrounds, with different levels of comfort around notions of grave human injustices like human trafficking. And if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the notion, the idea, even the words human trafficking, 1 is you feel so uncomfortable, almost like you could vomit, like it just grips you and it's hard to be a part of those conversations. That's 1. 10 would be like, this is your warrior cry, and not that you are comfortable with it, but you are committed to it. What would you say? And if so, type into the chat what you would say your comfort level, your commitment, would be around human trafficking. 1 being terrified, and 10 being on fire. And we'll just play with this chat. And I'm so glad, Jack, that you just typed 3, because I wanted to make a note that a very common thread through our community's journey into this commitment, collective commitment to human trafficking and supporting those that are fighting human trafficking, is that we are not a cause-related organization. We are a people, a lover of individuals and stories. And the common thread in the stories of Seeds of Exchange over the last 2 years since we first met our friends Raju and Hannah, whom you'll hear from in a moment, is that many, many, many people, including myself, went from low numbers, feeling terrified and nauseated and had to almost look away around human trafficking and other big challenges like that. Went from low numbers of 2 and 3 to like 8s, 9s, and 10s for 1 reason. And it's because of people. It's because we fell in love with and heard stories from and learned about what these dear friends of ours are doing. And we got an invitation to join them in very small, everyday ways. And that's what it's about, is how do we won't ever do anything if we always feel like it has to always be the big, or it has to always be the leap. But if it's a whole bunch of small steps together, then it becomes a mighty movement and something rather powerful. So if you're a low number, thank you for the courage to join, because that takes a lot of courage. And we're curious if during the course of this conversation, if you find the number shifting at all. Not because you're comfortable with it, but because you've met someone and you've heard someone's story. So hang on, let me just take a look at my notes here. So quick framework, we have a few incredible people that I cannot wait to introduce you to that are gonna share their stories. And as they do, they each have about 5 minutes to share. And we've asked them to do so. You may hear a little chime, and that means they have 1 minute left. That's our little seeds. I ring on this prayer bowl, and it's our reminder to storytellers they have 1 minute to wrap up, because we can talk once we get going around here. And then at the very tail end of our call, they're each gonna share 1 thing, 1 invitation, 1 nudge of action and commitment for you to sit with and decide if it's something you wanna join in on or say yes to or participate in. So we are gonna dive in. First of all, everyone good? Can everyone hear? Does that make sense? Anyone wanna chime in? Okay, I see thumbs up and a lot of faces I know and love. Oh my goodness. Mr. Raju, Miss Hannah, my dear brother and sister, will you guys unmute yourselves? Do you know how to do that? Hang on, let me help. Go ahead and talk. Stand by. We can't hear you yet. Hang on, let me go in and help.
No.
We heard you for a second.
Yes. Now, hello, I'm Raju from Nepal, and I have my sister Hannah with me, and I would like to just introduce our work. So we have started working with Badi people 8 years ago, and it was amazing privilege for us to work with this people group. So the Badi people primary profession is prostitution, like husband sell their wife, mother sell their daughter, and we have around 70,000 people scattered into 22 different districts in West Nepal. Uh, there was one time like 65-year-old grandmother, 35 years old mother, and 15 years old of daughter doing prostitution in one room in the village. When we came to know that we have this people group whose primary profession is prostitution, and then for me, I can relate their stories because Badi and myself come from a people group called Dalit. We have a caste discrimination in Nepal, touchable caste and untouchable caste. And I'm also untouchable caste, but I'm little bit fortunate than Badi people, because Badi people are being treated as a sexual toys in the community. And when I come to know about these people, deep inside my heart, I want to do something. But during those days, I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything, literally. So I kept that dream in my heart for a long time. And for the first time, when I went to that village and met Hannah for the first time, and during those days, she was 9 years old, and she thought that I'm also customer. Many people in the village thought that I'm also customers, and for them to believe the man is it's like impossible things. But it took me a long time to establish my relationship with them, and then finally I shared this burden to my friends, and I was able to rescue 34 girls from that village, and we brought them in Kathmandu, and we provided the environment where they can feel safe, protected, and provide quality education. Many people began to support our work. And with that 34 girls, our work grew with 680 children today in Nepal. We are the largest organization working among the children in human trafficking in Nepal. And our organization come in third position in Nepal. And Hanna is the first girl to study college today. Her sister is studying bachelor degree. All 34 girls that we have brought for the first time in hostels, all of them are now pursuing their education. Some are becoming journalists. 3 of them are becoming nurse. And Hannah today has a great passion and confidence to speak about her people. And what I want to let you know is human trafficking is a painful issue, but when we work together, there is a possibility of transformation. We can make changes, and we have hundreds of girls like Hannah today studying and pursuing their dream in Nepal. And I just want Hannah to speak something for all of you.
Hello, I'm Hannah. Raju uncle here already shared about Badi people, and when I was in 9 years old, and I rescued from my village. First time when I saw Raju uncle, and like I feel like I thought he's also like his customer, but he's not. Then when I was in village, and I feel like hopeless and like homeless and rejected, and the people, they thought they treat like we are animals, and you know, they thought we are not human. And if the Badi girls, they born, they thought like we are born for the entertainment. And uh, I I was grow up in my village, and when my sister is 11 years old, and one of my relative, he sold my sister in Brussels in India. And I saw that so many things, and the Badi people, they are suffering from uh, um, on human trafficking, and like a sexual toys. And so I thought like one day I'm also going to sell my body in the market, in my home also. And I feel so unsafe in my home. Um, and so even, you know, in our Nepal, even the people, they know we are Badi girls, and if they know that we are Badi girls, they start to you know, like touching our body. They are start to like saying some the bad words, because they thought like if they did whatever they like, because we are Badi, we are not allowed to say no. And but when I came to Lighthouse Foundation Nepal, then now I'm so strong. I can fight the people, and I I just you know, like, I feel so safe, and I have so good father, Raju uncle, and good people. They really protect me, and they give so many opportunity to studying, and safe house, and everything is really wonderful. And so, when I saw the love of people, when I saw the you know, support, encouragement, then I feel so uh, confident. And like now, like I feel like yes, I'm also human, and I can do it whatever I like it. And because of people who loves me, because of people who, you know, encourage me. And yeah, now I'm so happy. Now I'm studying college. My college is finished already. And this next month I'm going to the join university to studying political science, because I want to be a prime minister of Nepal. And as a Badi girls, being prime minister is really really hard. But I know this is not impossible, and I can make it if I get chance. And if people, they support me, then yeah, I have a confidence, and I know that I can make it. And I just want to help my Badi people. I just want to support Badi girls, and I just want to rescue all the girls from the brothel. And yes, and I'm so happy now, and I'm here. And thank you for listening my story, and please pray for me, and thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Raju.
Thank you, sister.
Two of my great heroes in the entire world. Yeah, we're going to come back to you with some more questions, and with your wise nudges that are always insightful, that we can chew on for our next steps and leaps. My sister Selah, would you unmute yourself? Hi.
Hi. Can everyone hear me?
Can you talk again?
Can you hear me?
I can. Everyone else?
Can everyone hear me? I'm trying to be in not such a loud place, because I had to go somewhere public. I have children, and I'm trying to, oh, see, you have your baby there too. I'm trying to be in an area where you guys can hear me, but yet it's kind of hard when you're in public. But anyway.
Great. It's perfect.
Okay, good. Well, good afternoon. I'm actually coming to you from Ohio, so it's a little bit later my time here. But I just want to say I'm just so grateful to be able to share my story and share Free the Girls, which is the organization I'm with. And I just want to thank you, Sarah, for asking me to be here. I just love the tribe that you've assembled with Seeds of Exchange. And so I'm just really humbled to be a part of this conversation. I am operations manager with a nonprofit that's based out of Denver called Free the Girls. We actually work internationally in Mozambique, Uganda, and El Salvador. And I've been with them since 2013. Before that, I was a small business owner in the Denver area, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in development practice through Regis University, which is a Jesuit university in Denver. So really quickly, because I know I don't have a lot of time, but Free the Girls was founded by a couple of friends, Dave Terpstra and Kim Belangus, and they launched back in 2010. And really our mission is to empower survivors of sex trafficking to rebuild their lives and to reintegrate back into their communities. And what we have come to understand is that being free means so much more than just having a distance from their trafficker. And for the women, and I want to say that I know this affects all genders. We work particularly with women, but I sometimes get people that say it also affects men, and I want to acknowledge that it affects, men and women and the LGBTQ community. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there. But the women in our program, we know that their journey has just really begun at that time. And so we partner and collaborate with individuals and organizations that are on the ground in these areas that are doing that hard work of restoration for women who have been exploited in the sex industry in the developing world. And we just want to come along and answer that question of what happens next. So really quickly, what we do is we collect gently used and new bras from women, mainly in the US, but from all over the world. And then those bras are shipped overseas to our programs in Mozambique, Uganda, and El Salvador. And then they're used as inventory for the women to sell in the secondhand clothing markets. So the women are able to run and sustain their own micro enterprise while they transition out of the commercial sex trade. So, it was really, the organization was really born out of a passion to sort of meet that need of sustainable freedom. We know that as odd as it might sound, one of the biggest needs for those leaving these exploitive situations is that opportunity for employment. Because if they're not able to do that, and it's just as vital as other areas of their healing, but if they're not able to meet their basic needs of food and shelter, it is very likely that they will go back into a life of survival sex work. So that's really our program in a nutshell. But I don't know if there's any weird questions about why bras, or if there's any questions at all. But I can go into that if you have time, Sarah, if you want me to.
So Selah, I have a question for you.
Sure, yes.
So what would you say, because one of the pieces we love to do in this
Mm-hmm.
tribe is share, kind of, we call it crumbs for the journey, or little treasures to find our way. And I think sometimes we find that when we hear some of the ways that the people around us have uncovered kind of their sense of destiny and calling and purpose. And for you, I would love to hear if you could share, 1 or 2 minutes, just a little glimpse of what is it in your story that brought you into this this work? And was it back when you were a little girl? Was it?
Oh gosh.
Here? Was it?
Yeah.
Love to hear.
It is, even when I was a business owner, I don't, it's hard to explain, but there has always been this, this pull in my soul to do something. I didn't know what that something was, but I knew that there was something more to life. So once I started to learn about human trafficking, and it was actually after I sold my business. You know, I also come from a background myself of domestic abuse. Not myself, but my growing up, my mother, and poverty as well. So I think that might be part of it. And I don't think I came to that until recently, like thinking about why I have this need. But I mean, once I started to learn about human trafficking and understanding that really, you know, the root cause is really poverty and oppression, and gender inequality. I just started to immerse myself, and I know this will be a lifelong journey. And I know it is a challenging issue to think about, to talk about, and certainly to eradicate. Because I had somebody tell me this once, and I think it's a really good way to think about it. Because we always talk about ending it, and I think that is the end goal, but there's so much and it's so complex. But that when we think about that, as long as we have a vulnerable population, and as long as we have people, whether you want to call them criminals or just other broken people who are willing to exploit the vulnerable, and we have a demand for commercial sex and a demand for cheap products and labor, human trafficking is something that will persist. And so I just think there's just something in my soul that makes me, propels me to do what I can. And, you know, I've actually, it feels like I'm sometimes not doing anything because I'm operations manager, and I'm really just, you know, helping to facilitate other people who want to be a part of how Free the Girls does this work, and our unique way of trying to help women rebuild their lives. But I think everybody there's just always just something they can do, just as far as just being aware of what's happening in their own community is a good place to start.
Thank you. Thank you. That's amazing.
Yes.
And I do want to point out that you have brought up one of the threads that has come up throughout our time this week on these, in the midst of these conversations. And that is that there is so often something for us individually and as a community to have the courage to pay attention to what's breaking our heart. And that is why I believe we need a tribe, because sometimes what breaks our heart is too scary to go to by ourselves, alone. And just a very important story that's connected to this is one of the women that's was at our Wednesday night in-person Changemaker conversation, was driving home, and she loves Raju and Henna and this community of friends from Nepal. And she was driving home and she was weeping, and she was so full of sorrow at the injustice and the persistence of what is still happening, and knowing how these people she loves, how they've been in pain from what has happened. Though they are rescued now, there's still pain at times. And as she was driving home, she had a moment at a stoplight, and she felt herself that it was God kind of tapping her on the shoulder and saying, okay, the gift to you in these tears for these people you love is for them. It is your love and compassion and incredible empathy for them and your participation in their lives. But this is also a gift for you. And it unfolded this evening of where her heart was cracked open to some pain in her life that she had forgotten about. And she came the next morning to one of our morning chai and prayer times. And she shared that this chronic pain that she has had in her life for 4 years was almost gone when she woke up the next morning. And what we all have talked about, it chokes me up, but what we have all talked about is what she said. She really felt like a big part of her chronic pain was connected to this pain that she had forgotten. And here she is deeply in love with these people, and the tragedy of their individual lives of human trafficking. And there was a gift for her that she never anticipated in coming to this conversation on Wednesday. So I share that because that's the abundance in life as a community, is we get to grow and be healed, and I think there's mysteries that we have and miracles that will take our breath away if we can stay in the pain with each other. So thank you, dear Selah, for sharing that. Alexis, is that you on 720-324-1337? Hang on. Is that you?
I'm here. Hi, Sarah.
So y'all, this is my dear sister Alexis, and she's calling in. So she's so beautiful, and I love seeing her face. But we get to hear her voice this time because that was
yes. I'm sorry.
And we can hear your voice loud. I can hear it loud and clear. How about the rest? Thumbs up. Okay, Alexis. So you called in a little late. You have about 5 minutes, my sister. If you hear a chime, that's your 1 minute warning. Okay. Will you please share a bit about your story and what you are doing in the arena of human trafficking and how that's part of your heartbeat?
Sure, and it was so nice to call on and hear Selah's voice. Selah is a dear friend of mine, so when I called on and I heard her voice, I was like, wow, I am supposed to be on this call right now, even late.
Hello, I know, I can't believe you're here. Hi.
So that's wonderful that we both chose the same time. So I guess for me, probably like maybe many on the call have been involved in the anti-trafficking field for about 5 years. I came to know about what was happening through actually an experience that I had at UNFPA, one of the UN bodies in New York City. I was at the UN with an internship, and they didn't have any offices left in the department that I was working on, Indigenous peoples issues. So they put me in the HIV/AIDS section of work at the UN. And so it was there that I started hearing about the UN stance on sex work and sex workers' rights. And I was like, what is this? What are they talking about? And through that, started to do research, came across the organization that Selah works for, Free the Girls, Colorado-based organization doing work internationally because they had been covered by CNN Freedom Project. And then all of a sudden, all of these anti-trafficking organizations just kind of came on my radar, and Free the Girls was one of them. And I then, after spending time in New York, came back to Colorado and worked with them for a few years. So I would say I kind of opened myself up to these many anti-trafficking organizations that just started coming to me as I was finishing my time at the UN. And actually from that then did work on a UN consultancy, a short-term project in Mexico working on human trafficking issues with Indigenous women, where they will move from southern states in Mexico to the north looking for housework in homes and are lured by the cartels into trafficking. Back in Colorado, did work with Free the Girls. And then after I was with Free the Girls for a few years, joined on the project through the district attorney's office on demand reduction. So locally for 2 years working on initiatives where in the city of Denver, what can we do to reduce the demand of the commercial sex of minors, and looking at tactics and sharing best practices. And so through all of that, I guess what I continue to do with the anti-trafficking movement is I'm an advocate on the Colorado Network to End Human Trafficking, a local resource that we have for survivors and service providers, families for the state of Colorado, that has really given me an eye view into what does this crime look like in our state, what are the loopholes, and what still needs to be done. So I think that's my share, Sarah.
Hey, my sister, I would love for you to share, if you wouldn't mind, a glimpse of when, like, because human rights, love of your sisters and brothers around the world is in your DNA. It infiltrates everything you do and how you do it, and I've seen it for years. And I'm just curious, when did you start feeling awake to the needs in the world that you're serving every day?
That's an excellent question. I was raised by a woman from Mexico. Maria came to my house when I was 6 months old. She was 16 when she came to the United States. My parents heard about her story and that she wanted to come. And so Maria helped raise my brother and I. So we grew up bilingual. And it was Maria that gave my brother and I the perspective of humility, of understanding how fortunate we were and how so many people in other countries didn't have all of what we had been given. And because of that, it was our duty, it was our responsibility that we needed to give back. We needed to be conscious, we needed to be awoken to what was happening. And that came from in elementary school. Every summer we started traveling to Maria, back to her hometown, a rural village in Mexico. We would spend the summers with her there. And so I would say that need to give back, need to give, be present for those that need us as allies and as a voice and a support happened at a very young age, and that has just carried through with me throughout the years.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Stay with us, because we're gonna, if you can loop us, we're gonna now go back through all of our storytellers, and I would love, Alexis, because you are a woman of deep heart and great action, and I would love to hear what would be your nudge or your invitation to us, if we're ready to take a step or a leap into being aware, being committed, taking action around anti-trafficking. What comes to you? What could we?
Yeah, I would say if anyone is interested in becoming an advocate on the CONET hotline, to connect with me, and I'm happy to explain what that process looks like. So if anyone is interested in joining that team of hotline advocates, just to let me know.
Can you give us a 1 minute? Tell us what the CONET hotline is.
Yeah, so the CONET hotline is a 24-hour resource and referral hotline for the state of Colorado, where people, community members, survivors, service providers can call this number, and they will talk to one of the hotline advocates. And we then, depending on what their need is, can provide a resource for a shelter, if they need transportation vouchers, if they need to talk to law enforcement. We're unique in that if someone does not want to talk to law enforcement, we do not have to mandatory report to law enforcement. We have many survivors that call the hotline. They've had bad experiences with law enforcement, and they don't want to be involved, and we can also provide that. So that's unique in this hotline. But really, the hotline exists to provide the services that they're looking for.
Do you know, my friend, if there are statewide hotlines? Because I know we have Robert's on the call, and my parents and my Aunt Debbie and Wendy in different states. Do you have any, or could you let me know if you find any in kind of like national or like a statewide search if they were interested in that?
Yeah, the national hotline is out of Washington, D.C., and that's run by Polaris.
Oh.
On their website, they might have the other statewide resources. If not, calling Polaris and asking them for the national hotlines in the United States, they would be able to give that information probably, or just on an online search. But the national one is out of DC. and they can then field the calls on the states.
I will add Polaris to our resource that I'll put together this week, through this week. Thank you, dear friend. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Miss Selah, will you hop back on and share your one invitation towards action, commitment?
Sure. I know we have some men on here too, so I don't want to leave them out by talking about bras. Although I know we all have other women in our lives, so they can also share. But really, as far as Free the Girls is that part of it, I think if you want to find any bras that no longer fit you, that are just not fitting quite right, we will take them. We actually have, if you go to our website, no matter where you are, for the most part, we have what we call drop-off locations. So they're businesses that have agreed to partner with us and take small amounts of bra donations from their community. So we have a list of those on our website at freethegirls.org. Or you can, if you want to, also host your own bra drive and get, whether that's at work or through church or your friends, and get together, and we can provide you with information that you can share with them, and have people bring bras at that point, and then ship them to our collection facility, which is actually located in Northwest Indiana. So that's one of the biggest ways. And then you can also help partner with us as a monthly supporter through our website, and that really helps us with shipping the bras overseas, because that's really our largest cost. But I think just, becoming, if you're just starting and learning about human trafficking, I think, like Alexis said, I think Polaris Project, or Polaris now they're called, does a really good job at explaining human trafficking in the different areas, and they have some really great links to videos. So just educating yourself and getting aware it might seem like it's not an important step, but it really is. It's a big step, just knowing what's going on. So I think that would be a really great place to start as well.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Raju and Henna, how about y'all? Here, hang on. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, it's a great honor for us to, share our heart with our friends. As I always said, for Hanna and myself, that human trafficking is important work, but we need people. We cannot do by ourselves. I always end, when I speak, that togetherness has power. Together we can make huge difference. And I always tell people that, people, those who make new history, are simple people. When Mother Teresa started her work, she was a simple. She went there, she didn't know anything, but she has impacted thousands of lives. And let's join hands together, start something from us, within us.
Thank you. I'm gonna do a little shout out on your guys' behalf, because I wanted you to mention this. So Raju and his team brought, is it 300?
Yes.
Okay. These child sponsorship dreams of sponsoring, inviting their American family to join in and support through an annual sponsorship of one girl. The Badi, it's spelled B-A-D-I, that Henna and Raju are talking about, this people group, this tribe in Nepal. Without support at this time, this is changing because of these two and their team. But at this point, these girls do not have access to education. And Raju's organization, Lighthouse Foundation Nepal, has now 680 kids in their, they call them hostels, but they're dorms in Kathmandu and 2 other places in Nepal. But they right now need $60 a month, so $720 a year for each of these 300 girls. And we have big dream and big hope and big prayer that they leave America with 0 of these, that they've handed these out, and we can do that remotely. So if you want to join, message me in the chat if you want a little more information. If you have ideas of people, you know, maybe book clubs or a group of colleagues, or we had a teenager, a high school student, and she took 20 of these because she and her friends are going to start a campaign at their high school and invite their community to join. So if you have ideas that it could be a youth empowerment thing, we can do a lot, as Raju is saying, with simple, does not have to be complicated big things. So if anything comes to you as you get off this call or in the days to come, please email me or connect, because this is close to my heart. And I do want to say this whole thing about action, it's not meant to be like a burdensome action. It's actually meant to be to take a burden away of feeling like the world is so big and the problems are so big, there's nothing to do. There's a lot we can do. And it doesn't have to be big a lot. It can be little things, simple things. But the action actually, for me at least, it makes me feel like I get to be a part of something, and it feels very good. And when each of us do little things together, it becomes big. That's one of our themes, one of our jams. So I would like to invite Miss Jacquie to join our conversation. At each of our change-making conversations, I've asked a dear friend who's a coach or a leader in some way in our community that I love and respect and has helped me along in discovering more of how to bring my purpose and my gifts to the world. And I really want to have these voices wrap up our calls, because I think with big ideas and big challenges, it's really important for us to have the companionship of people that are soul leaders, which I think Jacquie is. And so I asked her to take a few minutes and share with us some ways we can weave these things into our hearts and into our lives and into our communities. So Jacquie, thank you. Welcome, sister.
Hey, thank you so much. It's really fun to be with all of you virtually. And thank you so much to each of you that shared your hearts and your passion. I'm a leadership coach. I left corporate America, and really what drives me is that the way I was created is I believe each one of us has a really special, unique gifting and purpose, and to follow our passions. And I'm really committed to not only living my life that way, but being a champion and an advocate for others to be doing the same thing. So I really love hearing from Raju and Hannah and from Selah and each of these different places of where you're passionate and how you're driving it forward. And for me, I find it fun. It's fun to participate in little ways, right? To support you and what you're doing. I heard an interesting notion in the last couple of weeks that I've been playing with a little bit, which is a lot of times when I talk to people and they'll say, I'm not sure what my purpose is, or I'm not really sure what I'm passionate about. And then there are others who just kind of know it. And it's interesting to me that sometimes we have a certain passion or purpose, and sometimes we need to recapture what it was that was in us, and maybe it has settled into a resting place for some time. And then others, I've become very aware of where a passion or a purpose will find us. And the thing that is kind of cool, if you play with that idea a little bit, is I was thinking about, well, what takes us on that journey, and like, how do we get there? How do we have an answer to this purpose or passion question? And sometimes it's really just as simple as showing up. It's showing up, it's saying yes to something and showing up, like coming to one of these great series events, Sarah, that you've put together, or being on this call where something will stir inside of us, that nudge, or what I like to think of as a calling. The thing that's cool about purpose or passion, it's not necessarily a drive where we're looking for a particular outcome, but it's a calling to put ourselves out in the world in a way that benefits others. And that to me is the sweet spot of our passion and our purpose, is where we're using our gifts and talents in a way that serves other people. And I think that's truly our greatest source of both power and love blended intricately together. So the thing that I wanted to offer is that in addition to just showing up or being willing to say yes, there's something in this 20 seconds, again, 20 seconds of outrageous courage. And it's the leap, right? When we're willing to leap and say yes, where like that passion can spring forth, or we've opened ourselves in a way where it leaps into us. And so that might be something for you to consider, like, what would be the 20 seconds of outrageous courage that I might have? And I think that when we're in our heads, that we are in this place where we have a struggle between like the passion and the purpose, perhaps, and playing with safety and security. At least that's been true for me. And there's something about courage and passion and purpose that are far more appealing in terms of facing each day and facing what I want the rest of my life to be. So like I said, I like to champion people to ignite their own passion. And so here's a game that I want to invite each of you to consider. Wherever you are, you can think about this, or you can close your eyes and visualize this if you're a visual person. But I want you to just rest and sort of be in your body and think for a moment and look out ahead in your mind's eye. And I want you to look down the road, and I want you to see some crossroads, just like street signs, right? We've all seen them before, where there's a couple of signs, and in this particular case, there might just be a couple, and they're pointing in different directions. They might not be exactly opposite, but they're definitely going in different directions. And I'm going to be quiet for a minute, not a whole minute, about 30 seconds. I'm going to be quiet. I want you to look at your signs. I want you to visualize them, and I want you to see what these signs are for you. And if you're willing, I'd love it if you would pop yours out in the chat and share what those signs look like for you. I'm going to see if I can get my chat up and going. If you wouldn't mind sharing what those signs look like. I'm looking for, let's see. I'm going to share what mine were. When I asked this question of myself just a week ago, it was go for it or stay here. And I was definitely drawn to go for it. So I'm hoping that maybe you've seen or experienced something through the Changemaker series. If there's something in there or something else that's just stirring in who you are, that maybe one of these signs will point you in the direction you want to go and move you into action for that 20 seconds of outrageous courage. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it so much. Can you unmute yourself real quick and tell us how we can connect with you and your coaching business? And I'll include this also in our Inspired Action resource, but just for people, if they want to, maybe can you type your email in the chat for one thing?
Sure, I can put it in there. And yeah, I love to have the real conversations around how you're wired and what you're gifted in, and uncovering this question around passion and purpose if you're playing with it. And it's my life's work, and the joy that I have in seeing people uncork that and just maximize their potential is phenomenal. So I will type it in here. I'll just put my email in here, my website. Either way is an easy way to connect with me. And I'm here in Boulder, Colorado, but I work with people literally around the United States and the globe, and in developing countries. I've helped coach small business owners in Kenya, which is a place I've been to 4 times, and help people really ignite their gifting and passion and bring that forth into the world.
Yes, you have. Thank you, my friend.
Yep.
All right, we're nearing the end of our call, and I have been loving this week thinking about this quote of Mother Teresa's. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And the first time I wrote this, I literally gasped, thinking it was so edgy and not right to suggest to morph or add anything to great Mother Teresa's idea that I've treasured my whole life. But I wanted to throw something out there. That whole idea of what if it is a really great thing to do small things? What if that is a great thing? So not so much about saying like we can't do great things, but we can do small things with great love. But what if the great things are doing as many bits of our life with great love, and not measuring, not comparing, not assessing, just offering. So that's one closing quote and audacious nudge to add on to Mother Teresa. But not all of us can do great things. We can do small things with great love. This notion of inspired action that we talked about, I see that my dear sister Astrid is on the phone. I can't see her face. I miss seeing that, but I know you're with us. She helped me design. She didn't help me design. She designed, what am I saying? These beautiful little saffron cards that, for those of you that have been in our Seeds world, you've seen these. And we share these at most every event. I can't remember the last time that we haven't done this. And we have these Sharpies and a saffron card. And we always invite people to take one of these cards with them with 3 words that have impacted, 3 names maybe that they want to tuck in their pocket. But if you were to have a saffron card, what might you write on it with a Sharpie that has impacted you, that has made you think differently, be different, want to do differently? What might a commitment be? What might an action be? And man, this theme of keeping it simple and small things, but in it all together, keeps coming up. So that's one closing nudge. And from my parents and my Aunt Debbie, maybe you 3 can have a little round table and share what your 3 words might be after the call. That's one nudge. And then the second is I'm gonna close our always choose love. I like it, Jack. Oh, anyone else want to throw their 3 words in the chat? Astrid, 1 small risk every day. Of course that's yours. I love that. I love you. So I'm going to put a song on, a closing song, practicing ending right when we say, whenever I can. But as we're wrapping up, I'm going to put one song on in case you have a few extra minutes to stay on our call. And I would love to see your 3 words of what has impacted you, what you want to tuck in your virtual saffron 3-word card in your pocket. This song is called Better Together, because that's how we roll. Right, Brother Raju? I see you nodding your head. But I want to tell you, I will be following up with an email with very juicy, holy moly, it's growing. It's going to be Astrid, I'm going to need your help. It's going to be an epic little magazine situation of all of the incredible people that have joined this week and have shared their stories and shared their voices. So I will be following up. Please, please, please tuck 3 words of love from me to you for joining this call on this card, in your virtual card in your pocket. And love, heart, compassion from Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. Gratitude community. Thank you, Selah. Mom and Debbie, did you try to type something and it didn't work? What were your words? What were your words?
Don't wait to see the end of the whole road before you start.
Can you say that again?
Don't wait to see the whole road before you start.
Wow, I love that. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to put the song on. Love all of you. Love, love, love. Mom, I loved hearing your voice. Wow. Kelly, will you pop your head behind Raju? I just had a friend walk in the door. She's here to say hello. I don't know where she is. Oh, hi, Kelly. So I'm going to put this song on. Love you guys. Thank you for this incredible hour together.